Co-parenting after divorce, a national responsibility beyond separation. A speech on child welfare, family stability, and national responsibility. Honorable policymakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, Rwanda has made remarkable progress in strengthening families, promoting child welfare, and advancing social cohesion. Yet beneath this progress, there is a silent transformation taking place, one that requires our urgent attention: the steady rise of divorce and separation, and its profound impact on children. Let me say this clearly: divorce itself is not always the greatest tragedy. The true crisis often begins after divorce, when parenting becomes fractured, inconsistent, or contested, and in many cases, the child becomes the unintended victim of adult conflict. Today, I stand before you to advocate for a simple but powerful idea. Co-parenting after divorce must become a national priority, because when two parents separate, their relationship as partners may end, but their responsibility as parents does not. Yet what do we often observe in reality? One parent, often the mother, carries the full burden of raising the child. The other parent becomes distant, irregular, or completely absent. Communication between parents breaks down. Children are exposed to conflict, emotional neglect, and divided loyalty. And this is not merely a private family issue. It is a social issue, a developmental issue, a national issue, because a child raised in conflict does not suffer only in silence. That child may later struggle in school, in relationships, and eventually in contributing positively to society. As Nelson Mandela once said, there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. And how we protect children after separation reveals the strength of our society. Ladies and gentlemen, co-parenting is not about restoring the marriage. It is not about forcing reconciliation. It is about preserving parenting despite separation. Research across psychology, education, and social policy consistently shows that children thrive when both parents remain actively involved. Communication between parents is respectful. The child is protected from conflict. In other words, a broken marriage should not lead to broken parenting. Honorable leaders, Rwanda already has strong legal and institutional frameworks for child protection. But when it comes to post-divorce parenting, a critical gap still remains. There is limited structured guidance on co-parenting arrangements, limited parental education during divorce proceedings, insufficient enforcement of parental responsibilities, and minimal institutional support for resolving conflict between separated parents. Divorce may end legally in court, but parenting continues long after the courtroom is gone, and too often, parents continue without guidance, without support, without accountability. Dear friends, if we truly want to protect the next generation, we must move from assumption to action. Allow me to propose several important directions. First, we must introduce mandatory co-parenting education. Before divorce is finalized, parents should receive structured guidance on child psychology, shared parenting responsibilities, conflict management, emotional impact on children. This is not punishment, it is preparation. As Benjamin Franklin wisely warned, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Preparing parents early prevents greater damage later. Second, we must develop national co-parenting guidelines. Clear and accessible frameworks should define parental roles after divorce, communication expectations, child-centered decision-making standards. These guidelines should not remain theoretical. They should be integrated into courts, social services, and community systems. Third, we must strengthen enforcement of parental responsibilities. Both parents must remain financially accountable, emotionally accountable, morally accountable. A child's well-being should never depend on one parent alone. Fourth, we must establish stronger family mediation and support services. Community-based mediation can reduce conflict, promote cooperation, provide emotional support, encourage responsible parenting, and this aligns deeply with Rwanda's culture of community-based solutions and collective responsibility. Finally, co-parenting must be integrated into national child protection policies, because this issue is not private alone. It concerns the future of the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the strength of a country is not measured only by infrastructure, technology, or economic growth. It is also measured by how it raises its children. When parents separate, the responsibility of society becomes even greater. We must ensure that children do not lose guidance, protection, stability, hope, because every child raised in stability today becomes a responsible citizen tomorrow. As John F. Kennedy once emphasized, children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. Dear leaders, let us redefine divorce in Rwanda, not as the end of a family, but as a transition into a new form of responsible parenting. Let us build a system where separation does not mean abandonment, conflict does not define childhood, and every child continues to receive the love, care, guidance,